What is up? What is up? How's everybody doing today? I hope you guys enjoyed the games. I know I did. And, we got a lot to cover as far as um, just crazy, crazy scenarios. Man, I was so confident in my picks last week that I thought it was going to be a whole different story, especially, with teams like the Giants and the Ravens and the Chiefs. Just a lot to look at. But yeah, let's get right to it. We got Seattle versus Arizona. This was a good game. Uh, Arizona's Arizona, Seattle, Seattle. Um, Sam Darnold he played an excellent game. Um, he he came through when they needed him, which is he's won some close games with Minnesota as well. So um, I don't know if I would read too much into it right now, but he's looking sharp right now. Let me pull up my notes here. He, he found AJ Barner. He just he's playing very, very consistent. But at the end of the day, it's still week 4, and we got to see what happens because, long story short, I'm not sold on Darnold. Okay. I got to see him win in the playoffs. But it's the regular season, and he's playing top level football right now. He's winning his team some games. 229 passing yards. They did have 2 turnovers, but it's Seattle's in an interesting position because their defense is good, and Sam Darnold is doing everything he's supposed to do to win them the game. The big question is for the Cardinals, what's going to happen with Kyler Murray? Is he really that guy you trust to lead your franchise? He got a good contract. He did the holdout a few years ago, where he deleted everything Arizona off his Instagram, and they did what they had to do to give him his guaranteed money. Props to him for that, but they're not doing good, and I don't think they're going to do good this year. And it's not only the quarterback's fault. I mean, he threw it to Marvin Harrison, and he literally just gave it to the other defender. Marvin, it like went right through Marvin Harrison's hand. So that really wasn't his fault. But at the end of the day, Arizona has to make some changes from top to bottom if they really want to do anything. And I think it starts with the coach and it starts with Kyler Murray. So I'm not saying jump the gun yet. Hold on, let me get some water. I'm not saying panic and bench him and all that stuff, but they have to come to the realization sooner or later that he's not going to take them to the promised land. And it's not, like I said, it's not only him. They got a lot of things to work on, but it's the same stuff every year. They win a few games here and there. Kyler shows flashes of greatness, and then, they kind of fizzle out. It kind of looks like that's going to happen again this year. So, that remains to be seen. But definitely keep an eye on that progress and see if the Cardinals still want to continue backing Murray. We'll see. Anything can happen. Look what the Falcons did when they paid all that money for Cousins. They just said nope, and they put Penix back in there. So anything can happen. Okay, so Who do we got next? We got Minnesota versus Pittsburgh. Wow. That was a very interesting game. First off, they played in Dublin, and I heard the Pittsburgh backup quarterback got beat up there or something. It's crazy. But anyway, Rodgers, him and Metcalf are building a nice little bond. I don't know what you can make of it. I don't know what you expect from the Steelers, but it looks like they're connecting. I think that was what the longest play ever. Was that how long was Metcalf's pass? Hold on, let me see. I mean, Metcalf. Aside from the fact had 5 catches for 126 yards. Wentz did good. 30 for 46, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he did throw 2 picks. But I'm trying to see how long Metcalf's pass catch was. Yeah, it was 80 yards. I mean, that's awesome, And the thing is, can the Steelers defense keep these teams under 3 to 4 touchdowns? It looks like they barely kept Minnesota under 21, and it got them the win. But this is what the Steelers and pretty much every team needs to do. Get you a good quarterback, good receivers, but your defense really has to do their part. I just feel like, especially in the trenches, if Pittsburgh can, keep everybody in check, they could make a good playoff run. I don't think they could beat the Bills I was gonna say the Ravens, but they're going through some problems right now. But it's still early in the season, and we'll see what happens. All right, so who we got next? Okay. Here are my Commanders. I was raving about Mariota, saying keep Jaden out for 2 to 3 games. And honestly, Mariota didn't play bad. Let's see. He had 1 pick. But at the end of the day, Washington doesn't have a defense. So there's not much we can do if our defense isn't doing what we have to do. Giving up, 34 to the Falcons. Hold on. 24 first downs, 307 passing yards, 128 rushing yards. We're not going to win anything with that, And I accidentally put the score in the wrong place, but the Falcons had 37, and the Commanders had the Falcons had 34, and the Commanders had 27. Let me update that real quick. I know it doesn't matter, but it was 34-27 Falcons. Let me see. You can do that really quickly. All right. Um, and it's interesting, because last week they were definitely already questioning Raheem Morris's decision to completely back Michael Penix after the first few games. He's played very inconsistent, but this time he definitely stepped it up. Um, 307 yards passing. That's a really good outing. How many touchdowns did he have? Let me see. Yeah, 2 touchdowns, just 1 interception, but 313 yards. He showed out this game, and unfortunately, it was against the Commanders. But it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on to see if he can maintain that level of play, and hopefully get the Falcons to at least above a 500 team, because it wasn't looking too good for him in the beginning, but let's see how they bounce back. Now when you make it past 4 to 5 games, you really start to see the team's identity. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Pence. Sorry, Penix. So and who knows what's going to happen with Cousins. But that was a good game for the Falcons. They needed that win. And now Commanders were ready for Jaden to come back in. But it wasn't Mariota's fault. But we're ready for Jaden. All right. And just as I called it last week, we got the Saints and the Bills. Complete blowout. I mean, 31-19, whatever. The numbers don't really tell the whole story. I guess as far as like the passing yards and the rushing yards, because it looks pretty even. But at the end of the day, let me see. They that's the joy of being live, y'all. I'm not cutting none of this. But anyway, yeah. 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 touchdown through the ground. Well, Josh Allen did 2 touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, and then Cook added 117 yards plus 1 touchdown. They're just a well-balanced offense. You still have to be concerned about their defense. They didn't give up that much this game, but it was against the Saints, so it's kind of expected. Even 19 points, I feel like, is a little, little pushing it, because they got to tighten up. Especially with the Chiefs looking good, which that's another conversation, but these teams are not going to get by with having a bad defense. So even if they make it to the Super Bowl, they're going to get destroyed by, assuming, Philly or whoever has a strong line goes there, like with Green Bay or whatnot. And so these AFC teams, they really need to step their defense up. And it seems like the only one that's trying to make a case is the Chiefs again. And again, we'll get to them, but the Bills need to figure out their defense, and so do the Ravens. But this is about the Bills and the Saints. You can't expect Allen. Allen's going to put up numbers, right? He's going to make the throws. He's going to do what he has to do. Cook, stud, he's going to do what he has to do. But they need their defense. And that's going to be my theme throughout this season is offense isn't going to win you the championship. You got to have a top 10 defense. Anything below that, you're asking your offense to do too much. So, let's go to the next one. Who do we got here? Panthers versus the Patriots. There's not much to expect from the Panthers, but I'm surprised that the Patriots did that good. The passing yards were average, the rushing yards were average, but um, let me see. Let me see. Um, Drake May threw 2 touchdowns. They had 3 touchdowns through the ground, and one of them was with Drake May. He kind of did the same thing Josh Allen did: 2 through the air, 1 through the ground, and then 2 rushing touchdowns from the running from Henderson and Gibson. Just a well balanced attack. Not much to make of it though, because it is the Panthers, but maybe they can build on this for next week's game, and it does feel like May is finding his stride with this team. So it'll be interesting to watch to see how he goes, and hopefully they can keep it going. But not much to make against the Panthers. They got a lot going on. Even Young, Bryce Young's not doing that bad, but it's the Panthers. Okay. This was the craziest game. New York Giants versus Los Angeles Chargers. Man, I don't know, for the 2 people that watched my stream last week, I gave the Giants absolutely no hope. and that's why, it's any given Sunday. I gave the Giants no hope. I said, "Oh, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You guys are going to lose. You shouldn't even have brought Russ over. If you put Dart in there, he's going to lose anyway. He's just going to get practice." Well, guess what? He just beat what I thought was the most complete team in the AFC. And there's a couple things to worry about there. Let me pull it up. Because Herbert, he threw 2 interceptions. And average play, 2 interceptions. The defense did okay. Dart did well, right? First of all, he only had 100 yards, 111 yards passing. He did have a touchdown through the air, and he had that, spectacular rushing touchdown. That was amazing, and the confidence he has as a rookie, it's incredible. It's all this noise back there. I think I messed up here. Let me see. Yeah, hold up. Let me fix that score. I don't know where that 42 is from. Let's see. Oh, that's fine. There we go. 21-18. They had about the same amount of first downs. The Chargers they more than doubled in passing yards, and their rushing yards is 152. But those 2 turnovers, guess who? Justin Herbert. And you always, Herbert's a great QB. He can really put up the numbers. But when things get tough, he folds every time. He folded in the playoffs, and he folded against the Giants. And here's the weird part. The Giants weren't even that team that you would expect him to fold against. I'm thinking like, oh, he's going to face the Ravens or the Chiefs, a team that has a chance of going to the playoffs, and then he might tank, or he might have a great record this year and then lose again by throwing 4 picks in the playoff. But I feel like he choked. He choked. He choked against the Giants. So, and it wasn't even necessary. There's always going to be that question mark about Herbert. There's always going to be that question mark. until he can win these tight pressure situations, which I still don't consider the Giants. I mean, it was for the moment, but like they're gonna face the contenders. Can he really get them to the next level? You know, that remains to be seen. But I feel like when they needed him to step up, he didn't step up this game. He didn't play a bad game, but he didn't do what it takes to win, to finish the Giants off. And Dart, he's a talented rookie. I think he needs to just enjoy it until they find film on him. Again, I think this was a weak class, so him not even being the first QB taken, I just don't think if he has any success this year, I would definitely look for a sophomore slump. But I don't want to put the young man down. Much respect to him. He had a great game. He was fearless. So we'll see if that can last. But I'm looking at the Giants coach. I don't even know if he's going to last this whole year. So there's a lot going on in New York. And now there are rumors about Russ wanting to be traded. Obviously, he's not going to say that, but, I don't blame him. He needs to go somewhere where there's a contender, or at least go somewhere where he could play his final year or two. So keep a lookout for Dart, see how he manages. But I wouldn't make nothing of today's win. This was more on the Chargers kind of just not getting over that hump. It seems like when there's a little bit of tense moments, they just don't do what they have to do. So we'll see if they can bounce back next week too. All right. Definitely a very interesting game. And we got the Eagles and the Bucks, this is pretty much what I expected. They both can score. They both can run the ball. They can pass the ball. They're just I wouldn't say evenly matched team, because I feel like the Eagles have the edge. But, the Bucks are a good team. Very entertaining game. Mayfield does what Mayfield does. He was launching them. He's a decent QB. Hurts, he made the throws. 130 yards passing though. I mean, it's not. But hey, listen, Hurts does what he has to do. What we're looking at though, that's kind of concerning for the Eagles, is that Barkley hasn't really had a breakout game yet this year. He only had 43 yards. I mean, he did get that touchdown. Was last year just kind of like, his lucky year? Or, I mean, I'm not going to say luck, because he is a very talented back, but I just feel like he hasn't really dominated this year like like we're kind of used to seeing. And it kind of all started with the Super Bowl. He kind of got contained in the Super Bowl. I mean, he did what he had to do, but it was pretty much Philly's defense that kept them on the field. So that gave the offense more opportunities to score. So I keep a lookout on that. But hey, the Eagles are undefeated, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They score when they need to. They win when they need to. It's not pretty, but they're marching along, and they're still a strong contender in my eyes. So, all right. Looks like the Texans finally got their win that they needed, which was expected. I mean, the numbers here speak for themselves. 20 first downs, 224 yards passing, 129 yards rushing. Please excuse that Monday night. That was from last week's slides. Because if you guys don't notice, I use the same slides. But anyway, I'm not even going to delete it. I'll delete it later. And again, this is where my weak quarterback class comes into in the context. Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick, and he's not playing good. But we can't really tell if it's him or the organization or both. I would say it's both. He's an okay quarterback that would probably do good with the better, well-rounded team. But when you want to want to really change the direction of a franchise and start it with the quarterback, I don't think he's that guy. And this is not because he got drafted over Shador or whatever. I just think they had a weak class this year, and the Titans are in a heap of trouble. They are bad from top to bottom. Even Cam Ward was, I think he said that we ass. I'm like, man, they're in a lot of trouble. So I don't know if this quarterback is gonna fix them, which he even if he was Patrick Mahomes, they can't fix that organization. So just nothing good at all. So hopefully they can figure something out. We're 4 games in now. We're going on week number 5. So enough's enough. All right, Colts versus Rams. This was such an entertaining game. But the whole thing about Daniel Jones, he's been playing lights out this whole year. But I always said, when is the Daniel Jones that we're used to seeing going to come out? And guess what? He didn't play a horrible game, but he threw a pick in the beginning of the game, and then he threw a pick when it was the final drive. They had all their timeouts. They had plenty of opportunity to take it down the field. It was 1 minute left, and he threw a pick. So that's not something you can overlook. Is he going to get to that level that he's played the first few games? Is he going to be able to do that consistently? Again, he didn't have a horrible game. But he threw an interception when it mattered. And the Rams capitalized. The thing about the Rams is that they're always going to be in the mix. As long as you got Stafford and McCarthy at the helm. What's the coach's name? Hold on 1 second. Man, I'm tripping. McVay, not McCarthy, McVay. I didn't have to look that up. You got those guys, they're, Stafford has been, and I feel like he gets overlooked the most, one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL for a long, long time. He's been just really good, and excuse me. Because of him, the Rams are always going to figure it out. And it couldn't have been a better team that could snap the Colts out of their win streak. But back to Jones, he does not have that consistency. I hate to bring up his New York days, but at the end of the day, now the beginning of the year is over. We already 1 month in. And you threw a pick in the first drive and the final drive with 3 timeouts and 1 minute left. So that's something to keep an eye on. The Colts are a well-rounded team, so they could bounce back, and he is a really good quarterback. But does he have what it takes to go to the next level? That's what I'm going to ask about a lot of quarterbacks, because in my opinion, there's only, at this point, 4, and one of them's hurt. That's Joe Burrow. You got Matthew Stafford, who can definitely take the team as far as they can go. You got, of course, Mahomes. And yes, Burrow's hurt, I know. And it's looking like Josh Allen is that guy, because even deep in the playoffs, when the Bills lose, it wasn't really Josh Allen's fault. They lost by a field goal or some weird penalty. He definitely makes the plays when you need to make them. I don't know about Lamar. I mean, he can run up the numbers during the regular season, but I don't know if he's that guy. But back to the Jones thing. These franchises need their quarterbacks to play when it matters. So hopefully Jones can bounce back from this and really learn how to win those close games. Because if he can, the Colts are a factor. They are a factor. They still are. We're not going to panic after one game. But Daniel Jones is under the microscope, because these mistakes we've seen before. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Okay. Jaguars versus 49ers. This was an interesting game. I'm kind of shocked that San Fran lost, but I mean, Purdy threw 2 interceptions. You know, Brock Purdy, 309 yards though, but threw 2 interceptions. And I think he even fumbled one. Let's see. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got stripped. So he had 2 interceptions and he got stripped while he got sacked. And they still were close in the game. It was only a 5-point loss. Let me put the numbers up. 26-21, 18 first downs. They had more first downs. They had more passing yards. They lacked in the rushing department, but they had 4 turnovers, and 3 of them were from Purdy. 2 interceptions and a fumble on the sack. Since the 49ers aren't really plug and play anymore because Brandon Ayuk's out, Deebo Samuels is gone, Christian McCaffrey's making his way back in, and Nick Bosa, I feel like he was one of the main factors. You're really going to see these quarterbacks, and in my opinion, it doesn't matter if they got Mac Jones or Brock Purdy. The results are going to be the same. I guess they better stick with Purdy since they invested all that money. But it's not looking good for San Fran. Even though they're 3-1, don't let the record fool you. They're slowly getting exposed. Okay, who we got? Oh, this was a crazy game. Oh man. So I don't know what to make of this. Because Kansas City did thrash them. Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes. He threw 4 touchdowns. So you got 20, 37, 24 first downs, 264 passing yards, 118 rushing yards. These numbers are pretty regular. But the problem is the Ravens, I think, came into the game with 4 missing defensive starters. And then by the end of the game, they lost about 2 or 3 more. But then also, the Chiefs had Worthy back. Just that small addition opened up the whole offense. But Pacheco did good. Worthy did good. Mahomes did his thing. So can you attribute this win to the Chiefs finally finding their stride? Or can you contribute to the Ravens losing pretty much the anchors of their defense? As I always say, the Ravens got to figure out their defense fast. But what can you figure out if your main players are injured? So that's 2 problems, because even with them there, they were still giving up some points. But now with 4 people out, and I think by the end of the game, 7 people out on defense, this might be a tough year for the Ravens. If they can't put the pieces together on defense or get everybody healthy, it doesn't matter how many points Lamar and Henry score. But guess what? Now that things are going down, Lamar and Henry, they didn't really do too well this game either. So do you think Harbaugh's on the hot seat? I don't know. We'll see. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I haven't got any comments yet, but we building this channel up, so it's all good. So, the Ravens are in a lot of trouble. And for the Chiefs, you're not out of the water yet. You pretty much faced a depleted defense. I mean, Mahomes is Mahomes. He, in my opinion, is still the best quarterback in the league. But they haven't shown that they have that same chemistry yet. Even though this game was a good game, we need to see that consistently if we want to put the Chiefs back in these conversations, which obviously would, Andy Reid and Mahomes, they're always going to be in the conversation, but they've been struggling a lot since the Super Bowl. So, and they even limped in the Super Bowl, even though they had a great record. It's like they always had to skim the wins through their teeth. It's like, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but hopefully they can continue this, and we'll see when they face better competition on defense. But the Ravens are in trouble. They are in some hot water. All right. So what we got? Bears and the Raiders. Man, here's another one. I don't know what's up with these quarterbacks, man. I mean, 4 turnovers on the Raiders, and 3 of them was from who? Guess. Mr. Smith. And no, I'm not critiquing him because I went to Marshall and he's a WVU guy. I like the WVU guys too. But at the end of the day, this Geno Smith and Pete Carroll conversation is not helping at all. I mean, first of all, the rookie Gentry had an excellent game. He had a really, I think that was his breakout game. He's really finding himself. In the first few games, people were wondering if he was overhyped and if he's not a real superstar, because it's hit or miss when you draft these running backs high. But he's doing his thing, shout out to him. But Geno, 3 interceptions. This is the second time this year. The second game against the Chargers, he threw 3 interceptions. So now he did it against the Bears. That's not a good look. And he 117 yards. I mean, this is not good. Caleb is still doing what he's a little inconsistent, but he's putting out the wins. He's putting up some numbers. He's still growing and developing. Hopefully he can maintain that. I'm not 100% sold on him either, but the Raiders are in trouble. They are in trouble. Your main quarterback that you brought over, that you have such a great relationship with, Pete Carroll. This is the second game and only 4 games where he threw 3 interceptions. It's not a good look. I mean, the game before, he had 3 touchdowns. Okay, cool. But you don't know which Geno's going to show up. So the Raiders got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. So, all right. Yeah, and I think that's it. I think I covered all the games. I sure did. We out here, man. It's almost 2 o'clock here. Thank y'all for watching. Let me see. Thank y'all for watching. And I'm going to upload another one tomorrow. We can talk about the Monday night games. Hope y'all have a good week and stay blessed. All right.